Okay, I've scored my paper and I've straightened my top edge, and I'm going to go ahead and make my gusset. Now what I have also done is my gusset is going to be 3.5 inches wide at the top, and since that's the bottom piece too, so it's just going to be 3.5 by 5 3/4, and that's going to make our gusset here. I will shape it a little bit at the bottom, so we're going to do something to our pattern to accommodate that little. I'm going to put a little roundness in it. So here we go. So it's really just 5 3/4 down at this point. I've already got my size, and so it's 5 3/4 down, and that should do it. That should be pretty much where the gusset should be. I might be a tick off, but I don't think so. Okay. Now, this is our gusset for our bag. That's how that's going to sit at this point right here. Okay, and this is our bag, and we're going to make it where it kind of pops in, so it'll go in like this a little bit. Okay, and that's it. All right, so we're pretty much, now what I also want to do is just go ahead, I hate these square, so I'm just going to go ahead and round it and put my, okay, so we got our bottom rounded. Now on my pattern, what I'm going to do is just put like 3 score lines, and the score lines should go right about here, and these score lines are going to allow me to go around that corner when I start to sew. So I'm going to just put 2 on either side of my main score line so that I know to score this 3 times, so that it'll be a little roundish. Not a lot, just a little bit. I still want it to have a corner, I just don't want it to be so sharp at this point. But now remember too, you can make this particular bag, as long as you have a stiff material here, this could be soft. It does not have to be 1-ply chipboard. It could be some very stiff fusible backing or anything like that that you want to work with. So this could be a hard bag or a soft bag. It all depends on you. You're the designer. Okay, so we have our gusset. Let's go ahead and cut out our ply and the other papers we're going to use. Oh, we also have to make our outside pattern. So we're just going to make an outside pattern, and I'm sure all of you know how to do that if you've been at the site for a while. So just go ahead and add 3/8 inch all the way around, 3/8 inch all the way around, and we're ready to go forward. Now, before I decided to make my outside gusset, I'm going to go ahead and shape my gusset because I want it to fold in a certain way. So what I'm going to do is cut out a nice big old window so that it folds, and I'm making my window sort of like this. I trace, this is going to be the top of my stay. This is the bottom of my stay. Right here in the middle is where I want the whole thing to collapse in like that. So I'm cutting out this shape right here, so it should collapse when we make the bag and start to put it together. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and cut that out. So if you want your stay to collapse, if you want your gusset to collapse, that's the way you kind of go about it. You cut stuff out the middle and it's going to bend inward. So, and then I'm just going to go here, and this is going to give you an indication of what your gusset is going to look like when you glue it in. So I'm going to pop this right out. Pop this piece right out. And that's how your gusset is going to go, and it's going to collapse in. This is the part over here where you're going to be stitching, and this is the actual size of your gusset. Okay, there you go. And so that's what you want to do. Now make your outside, and This is what you're going to put inside, like as a stay. Okay. Okay, everybody, this is me. I'm back. It's been a minute or two since I've been with you. And one of the first things I want to start you guys out with is how I altered my wedding bag to sit up off the ground and to sit on its edges. And because it's sitting on its edges, I could not use a soft material because then, of course, the edges would have bent. So I had to use my chip so that the edges could stay sturdy. So let's get with this. The first thing I want you to go back and look at is when we made our diamond pattern, our wedding bag pattern, this is the way it looked. We had our top, our bottom, and our back. Everything, as you can see here, was the same size here. When we put our gusset on, we went like this. We sewed across, we flipped up our gusset, and we tried to stick it in place like that. Okay? All right. But that makes it really, really hard to sew in a flatbed machine because now you got to squeeze your foot into this little narrow space and try to make your stitch. Unless, of course, you have a cylinder bed machine. And most of us don't. So how can we get this bag to be sewn quickly and easily on a flatbed machine so we can get it to market and make some money to buy a cylinder machine? And that's what we needed to do here, right? So what we needed to do, we can't change the front and we can't change the back. There's only two pieces we can change to make this work, and that is the bottom and the gusset. These are the places where we have to make our changes at. The first change we make is we're going to replace this bottom with this bottom. Oh, now we have this 1/2 inch over here and a 1/2 inch over here. And the reason it's a 1/2 inch was because I needed a 1/2 inch to be able to get my machine started here and sew right up without having any obstructions, like the head of the head of the sewing machine, get all that stuff out of the way. And I needed a 1/2 inch to get that out of the way. So the first thing I did was simply cut my bottom a 1/2 inch. And now I got free access to these sides here. Okay, that was the first thing I did. The second thing I did with the bottom is I wanted the bottom to be up off the ground to help with this 1/2 inch and to makes the design a little bit more uniform is the word I'm looking for. So what we did, I wanted it a 1/2 inch up, so I measured a 1/2 inch up, which would be right about here. And what I did is I added that 1/2 inch on both sides of my bottom. Now my bottom looks like this. I got a 1/2 inch here, a 1/2 inch here, 1/2 inch here, 1/2 inch here. I can go sew directly up. This is at a slight angle because the front and back is at a slight angle. And all I did was measure a 1/2 inch up, cut, and add that to my bottom like this. I don't know if you can see it because it's white on white, but you'll be able to see it a little bit better in a moment. And that's how that goes. Okay? Now, once I did that, I had to change my gusset. Now, this part of the gusset stayed the same. But what I had to do was, if this is a 1/2 inch, then this size had to be, these had to be a 1/2 inch, so that when I turned it out, it would meet this, or would meet the corner of the bag and allow me to sew up. So what I'm going to do real quick, also, because this is a 1/2 inch higher, I had to cut a 1/2 inch off the top so that it would match up with, well, this is not the one. So it will match up with the, like this. That's what you're looking for. So it'll match up just like that. Okay? And it had to be a 1/2 inch up. And what's going to happen, you'll see here in a minute how all of this is going to work out. Okay? Now, here we go. I'm going to glue it together rather than sew it. And I cut my 2 pieces. And if you were doing this, you would first put this down. Put this down. Tape it in place. Then flip like this and sew across as close to this edge as you could. That's the first thing you do. Now your gussets are attached. And as you see, it'll, hopefully you can see, it flips out and turns like this. And it meets up. Okay? And it meets up. And that's where we're trying to get to. Okay, so let's do this. First I'm going to put this, the piece on, and we're going to put that there. And that's already glued. And then we're going to take the other part and put it right there. Now, whoops, let me get this one right. Now, if you look at it, the bag is now up off the floor. Now you can sew by putting your foot down and going straight up as close to the edge as you can get. And you do that all the way around. You can also sew the bottom by just making your stitch right here. So this stitch, boom, your bottom is now attached to the front and back. You flip it up. Here's your gusset is already sewn in. So let's just stick that in. And you pull these out a little bit. Let me kind of show you what I'm talking about here. There. There. Push this in and look. I think you can see the contrast. Look. There it is. Now you can sew. There you go. That's your stitch. Boom. All the way around on both sides. And this piece here, this gusset piece, flares out to complete this whole line here. Because this and this now join together to make one piece. And that's how you take your bag up off floor, giving yourself enough room to sew your bags. These are called like fake bottoms almost. So what happens now is that you can make this a curly heel. You could do a lot of things with your bottom once you start to make your false bottom. Because this is not the bottom. The bottom is up here. And your bag sits up off the ground. You can get yourself a nice piece of hardware and stick it on there and put some metal on that and have it sit. And that's how your bag works. And that's how simple that is to get up like that. Okay? And if you look at the Michelle Lalonde's bags, because she does this a lot more than I do. I don't use a whole lot of fake bottoms. But you'll see that they're all up off the ground. And that was just to give her more room to do her stitching. And she can now make her bags without any special equipment. And that's how that's done. And if for some reason that's not, if that's difficult to understand, you just let me know and I'll go over it until everyone got it. And that's just that simple. It's a matter of just changing your gusset and your bottom. You added a 1/2 inch to the width, then you scored it and brought that 1/2 inch down, and then you cut it. You made it a 1/2 inch shorter. Okay, that 1/2 inch shorter allows you to make this stitch, and you took your gusset and expanded the sides of your gusset from, rather than being 3/8, you made them a 1/2 inch, and now it all fits together. Well, I hope you like it, and I'll have fun with that over the weekend. Okay, I got pretty much all of it scored out, drawn out. I need to score where my bottom is, so just go ahead and get your pen. Okay, that looks good. All right. Then I want another score. Oh, don't forget those score lines too that I said go ahead and make. It's as if you're going to round out your bottom. Since I'm going to round out mine a little bit, I'm going to make those little score lines right now. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. And let's see. All right, I've finished cutting out that piece. That's how it's going to go, like this. This is our bag. And now we have to make our gusset. And let's go ahead and do that. I'm actually going to make my gusset out of some backing, some heavy backing I got here. I got some right here. So I don't know if you guys can kind of see the weight of that. Okay, that's it. That's what I'm going to use to make my gusset out of. So my gusset is going to be pretty soft. So let me go ahead and cut this piece out, and I'll show you what it looks like. In an eye blink, or an eye blink, or in a eye blink. I guess that's my backwards Danish, meaning in a moment. Okay, be back. Okay, let's see, I got those two pieces out. I got that. Stay. Now I need to cut some foam from my master. And we're going to put this over our stay, some foam. And if you had 1/4 inch foam, I'd say really all you had to do is just put a little rubber cement on there, tack it. That's all you really need to do to tack it in place. Then you're going to put some foam over here. We're going to put this foam one here, this new foam we're going to use, and cut out our diamonds and cut out our outside fabric and start to put this back together. Okay, I got some spray glue and I sprayed the outside here. I just used some spray glue adhesive, usually 3M, that I pick up at Home Depot or someplace like that. And so what we want to do is just place this down and press like this. Okay. Then we're going to cut, press down, and cut. The foam is just so great for this 1/4 inch foam. So if you can get some, please do. The one thing about using this new foam is that it's really hard. You can divide it and get the thickness that you want, but it may not necessarily be even with thickness, as you're tearing it from one thicknesses to the other. And there's really no way to control that tear. It's all done by feel. So anyway, we got this going on, so I'm just going to go ahead and continue to cut this out, and then I'm going to cut out my diamonds, and then we're going to continue on from there. Okay, I've went on and finished gluing and cutting. As you can see, it's starting to come along. What we're going to do now is just basically go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and wrap the outside. But first, now I'm going to go ahead and cut out my diamonds. Diamond out of what you're doing and leave yourself enough to turn over the edge to make your diamond. So it's like a little seam allowance inside the diamonds. I'll turn one real quick, and then we'll go forward with the other 6, and I'll be back. But first we'll turn this one. But I'm sure when I'm through with this, you'll see all the different possibilities in the variation. Uh-oh. Bad news. Oh. Bad news. I tore my whatchamacallit here. Okay, I'm gonna have to shore that up to fix it. Sometimes these problems occur. What happened was this right here bent when I was messing with it, and now it's going to cause my pattern to bend right there, and I really don't want that to happen. But anyway, this is how our diamond is going to look. Okay, and then we're going to push some tulle behind that. Here, let me show you real quick. We're going to push some tulle behind that. Put our little flower behind inside the tulle, basically, so it gives it like a little floating effect. And then we're going to stick that in there like this. I don't know if you can see that, but anyway, that's the way that's going to look. Okay, we'll see. Yeah, it's going to look cute. Okay, so we got this much done. And this is how the front, back, and the bottom look. We can actually put in our feet now. And get ready to put our lining in. And then we're going to put our gusset in.